Hello everyone, Jules here from That Film Theory, and I don't know about you, but I absolutely adore David Fincher's Se7en. It's one of the most iconic thrillers of the 90s and sees some outstanding performances from the cast as Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman attempt to stop a serial killer with a truly terrifying calling card. In fact, so branded is Kevin Spacey's killer that the more you watch the film, the more it feels like its story is bleeding into something else. At times, that Se7en is stretching reality in ways that we see in another beloved genre of film, the superhero movie. And I know this might sound utterly out there, but if you look at Se7en through the lens of a superhero film, then you start to see one figure above all who would connect this world to their own. And that's Batman. So what I'm going to do today is try and show you the signs that have been lighting up in my moody skies as I'm Jules, and this is our theory on how David Fincher's Se7en is set in Gotham before Batman arrived. And remember, it's just a bit of fun. So let's begin with the fact that within Se7en, the viewer is never expressly told which city they are in. The characters never reference their location, and through clever cuts, Fincher is able to turn the shooting location of Los Angeles into a formless yet recognizable metropolis that exists without a single shot confirming its identity. We don't even get a clear look at Detective Mills or Somerset's badges to even hint at where the story might be taking place. Clearly, this was an intentional flourish on Fincher's part and creates a stage for the film which displaces the audience and focuses instead on the concept of generic urban rot, something that Gotham exemplifies to the nth degree. But I know what you're thinking, this is hardly concrete evidence, and you're totally right. However, it allows us the ability to look at this city as being so removed from reality that it can slide closer to a fictional setting. Now let's turn to the antagonist, Kevin Spacey's John Doe, which is quintessentially a Batman villain in all but name. Much like Victor Zsasz, the Calendar Man, and the Riddler, John Doe sets up situations and murders based around a gimmick that has clearly consumed his life. In this case, Doe murders 7 people, each based around the 7 deadly sins. It's theatrical, it's flamboyant, and it could easily sit in the pages of a Batman comic. It almost sits at odds with the stylistic tones of the rest of the film. Everything else is gritty and dark, but these murders are inexplicably complex and would require the type of planning that only the likes of the Joker and the Riddler would ever dream of pulling off. Plus, there's the fact that he leaves clues at all the crime scenes and the notebooks that are filled to the brim with his psychotic ramblings. Plus, that ending, doesn't that just scream of comparisons to The Killing Joke, of a person who has pushed the hero to beyond any reasonable limit? Doe is a figure that's risen beyond a mere criminal to become a figure of fear. He's haunting the actions of our detectives and also the city itself. A supervillain, if ever there was one. And the worst thing is that he's not alone. When rewatching Se7en, it becomes clear just how expertly Fincher employs world building to create a palpable atmosphere of toxic dread. This is a city dying in front of us, thanks to corruption eating from within at every level. Crimes can be frequently heard going on outside both Mills and Somerset's apartments. Somerset drives past a dead body on the sidewalk at one point and even tells a grim story where a man got robbed the night before, only to be additionally stabbed in both eyes by the attacker for no reason. But perhaps the most Batman-inspired crime comes in the form of the rampant corruption implied in the city's police force. Somerset tells Mills that the press frequently bribes the police to get crime scene tip-offs, and at the end of the film, it's suggested that John Doe used similar means to find out Mills's address and murder his wife. Also, there is a massive coincidence, but one that does further the idea somewhat, and that is, just look at who plays the corrupt FBI agent in Se7en and also in Batman Begins, Mark Boone Jr. Now I know it's a sheer coincidence, but this ideal of corruption is so similar that both directors saw this actor as reflective of the ills affecting their created societies. However, he's clearly not the only actor who shared time with both Fincher and with Nolan, as it's now time to look at the character of Detective Somerset, aka Morgan Freeman. Somerset is a cop that's been on the job for a long time, and while it would be a massive stretch to say that he's going to become Lucius Fox in the Batman series at a later date, there is a similarity in their personalities. Both are interested in deep diving for information, both are resourceful and engaged in using whatever means they can in the hunt for justice, and both essentially believe that this world can be saved if the few good men and women left fight for what is right. This is confirmed by his terrific closing narration that for all of the world's ugliness, it's still worth fighting for. Then there's the implications of privacy, which are central to the figures of Somerset and Fox. Both are shown to hold massive insights into people's personal lives. Somerset with the ability to check what books people have been checking out in the library, and the entire Dark Knight subplot with Lucius and the monitoring devices. It's interesting, right? But before we close out, let's just go from people who are trying to pull their city out of the toilet and return to the nameless city one more time and look at it a little bit closer. As on paper, there's an argument to be made that Fincher's city feels more like Gotham than it does in even the Nolan Batman films. In Nolan's trilogy, we began with some interesting ideas, but they were soon put out to pasture in favour of a more generic American metropolis by the third film. The concept of the Waynes creating a transportation system was a good one, but was removed for obvious reasons come the sequels. Cross this with the city presented in Se7en, and we see a city teeming with crime and filth. And we don't get to see mansions and secret lives of the rich and famous. We get grotty apartments, streets that sweat with a disgusting layer of grime. We get to see a frustration of inequality that Gotham totally represents. In purely aesthetic terms, Se7en City is constantly raining, a Gotham hallmark if ever there was one, and the various crime scenes are shot in dingy low light, which again emphasises the ugliness of the act, and honestly just makes the viewer want to take a shower. Especially telling is the memorable foot chase between Mills and John Doe, for when the chase reaches a winding alleyway, it's easy to imagine this being the very same alley where the Waynes were gunned down in cold blood. Gotham is a city where it's perpetually on the brink, and Fincher's city is the perfect adaptation of that. With a rogues gallery already establishing itself and the likes of those that are affected by John Doe's actions as much as the man himself, who's to say that this city wouldn't need saving at some point by a fella with a penchant for pointy ears? Now I know I've not provided any hard evidence for these thoughts, and in essence this is like a fantasy booking of sorts, but my god, could you imagine the worlds of Fincher and Nolan colliding in this manner? A dark and corrupt city, a ruthless murderer, and those willing to step up to save it. It all could act like a Batman Year 1, but almost a Year 0 to those events. And there we go, those were our thoughts on how David Fincher's Se7en and Christopher Nolan's Batman could technically be linked. I know that it's just a bit of fun, but if you enjoyed this, please let me know down in the comments section below. And if you've got any burning film theories that you'd like to share, then please get in touch. Either drop the messages down in the comment section, or you can get in touch with me over on Twitter at RetroJ, or you could email us those amazing thoughts. Until then, I've been Jules, you've been awesome. Never forget that, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.
Look, my son, look at the marvel that I have created. Comics. They called me a fool for trying to put a dead meme onto a t-shirt. A damn bold fool! A damn bold fool with an ass that won't quit. It got quite personal towards the end there. But look who's laughing now! Quiet! Quiet, my son, my ugly son. For my other creation rises. Look at the quality fabric, hand-stitched by blind orphans. The perfect letter spacing calculated so meticulously that Rich Hudson had an erection for months about it. And a colouring so deep that I had to buy the dye off the dark web. Oh, for God's sake, Josh!
Sorry.
Marvel. Oh no, the beast has grown angry, angered by our drab fashion choices. I am such a fool to think that it wouldn't try to infect us with its perfect design. Quick, we must do something to appease the beast. Why don't we buy one from shop.worldculture.com? Look, it's already got Scott Nash. Oh no! But where can I buy one? Are you kidding me? This is why I don't give you any extra lines. But also at shop.whatculture.com. Quick, let's go and buy one right now. Let's go buy one right now. Right now. Oh, don't you try hard now. You've already lost your bit. Oscar's in the f***ing bin. Ah, there we go. Doesn't that look better? I feel so virile and alive, and it's also fixed your hump. That's actually pretty good. Now do yourself a favour and act like your mum and spread the love, aka her legs, and buy yourself one of these glorious dead memes on a t-shirt, courtesy of this handsome chap right here. You're very, very welcome.
Cut!
Jesus Christ, mine is so itchy.
It's all wet. What? It stinks.
I pissed on yours.
The worst font ever. I want to die.